Hello, everyone. Welcome to Football is Life. We are back with a bang. Yes, here we go. Yes, a little bit of a delayed start. Pat kept us waiting there, so we don't mind that, Pat. It's okay. It's all right. Waleed and I were just chatting there. I had a fantastic Mr. Kipling festive bakewell along with my cup of tea, so that was kept us going. So
Nice.
good start to the day. But boys, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Where do we start? Well, we know where we start. Ole is no longer at the wheel. There's nobody at the wheel. Okay, which is probably better than Ole being at the wheel, right? So listen, what's happened, guys? Ole finally, it seemed like the final straw. It wasn't enough getting an absolute spanking off Liverpool in their own backyard. It wasn't enough that Man City absolutely embarrassed them, made it like a training game. It was Claudio Ranieri, the Tinker Man, that was the final nail in the coffin for Ole. So poor Ole. He's maybe back off to Middle Earth to reflect upon his tenure. So anyway, that's it. So reaction, let's go for it. Waleed, you're a Man City fan. We know I'm a Liverpool fan. We're going to have opinions. You can take us away on your thoughts on the Ole sacking.
I'm so upset that he's gone. I'm so upset that he's gone because the problem is that United now have an opportunity, albeit a very slim opportunity, to actually get someone in who is competent and actually good at managing teams. Like, I imagine it'll be Pochettino in the summer, but it's more so between now and the summer, their main mission has to be try to reach top four at all costs. But I'm really sad that he's gone. I mean, he was useless. He was a nice guy. I mean, it's a bit weird that they gave him that sort of Manchester United TV interview to send him off when Frank Lampard didn't have that. He also went out not brilliantly, but he was also a Chelsea legend, if not more of a legend at his own club than Ole. So yeah, I'm sad because it gives United the chance again to be threatening and competitive. What about you, Pat?
I'm just surprised. I felt like that when they came into Tottenham Stadium and issued a beat down to my Spurs. I thought that maybe that things were going in the right direction for United, but obviously not. It feels like it has to be the right thing. I mean, Watford's been terrible this year, and they really not looked good. The whole Ronaldo experiment, I have to give you both credit. Like you both had it spot on, like exactly what was going to happen there. And kind of a nice little victory dance, Ross. I love it. Yeah. So it's the right thing. I mean, I don't know what they're doing now, though. I mean, at least when Spurs decided to sack Nuno, they had a backup plan ready to go. I think United sort of, there's no plan. Maybe hope for Poch, but I don't know. What are they doing?
I love it. You know what? I think it's like, you have these like idiots guides that people create. Like, I think I'm looking forward to United releasing like some point in the future an idiot's guide in how to appoint the wrong man for a job, somebody who's completely incompetent, how to stick with that person way beyond the time after not seeing all the warning signals. And then when you do decide to sack him, not to have a plan in place and to kind of host a creepy sort of awkward leaving teary interview that like any part, like to me, I'm with you, Ole. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a human being, fantastic guy. I can't, really good post-match, honest, like authentic. But I have to say, I've lost a bit of respect for him. If somebody said to me, could you do it? I'd be like, I am not doing that. Like, just let me leave. There's no way I'm going to sit down and tear up. Like, it's almost like from top to bottom, Man United are completely dysfunctional, which you love to see because it means it doesn't really matter who they bring in now, right? So again, I would argue, I think United, if it was me, I would say, let's just have nobody at the wheel. Let's just see how I genuinely think it might get him to a better spot. And then organically, the leader will emerge. Maybe Roy Keane will emerge like a phoenix from the flames and just be like, have them all off social media and they'll all be wearing black boots, old school. And when they don't play well, they'll just fly in with challenges and have an awful disciplinary record. But yeah, it's like you say, Pat, the Poch thing, I'm just like, they could have had Poch whenever he left. So he was available. They didn't want him. To me at that time, I was like, that 1-on-1 equal 2. I was like, that's the answer. You just take him and you say goodbye to Ole and you thank him, right? Yeah. The fact if they go back there, and it almost feels like, again, like, what's the plan? Because he was available, you didn't want him. Now he's at PSG, and actually the stock has probably diminished because he's not exactly lighting the heather on fire. I'm not saying he's not a good manager because like Tuchel had problems there, and I think Emery's the only manager that's actually had that team, in my opinion, looking like a top team. So I don't really understand. And then there's like Valverde now, isn't the? I mean,
Val, I mean,
yeah, maybe you can do it without a manager. Maybe you just don't need anyone. Like I go back to that game that I was in attendance. They had Cavani out there and he looked fantastic. And Ronaldo and Cavani actually looked pretty good together. And then you come back the next game and where is he? He's not on the pitch. So maybe just let Cavani fill out the lineup for him, or let Ronaldo do it or whatever. It's fine.
I think what we're suggesting here, right, is that United, or maybe United are ahead of everyone here, right? Where it's like driverless cars. They see the future and they're like, that's the future. The future of football management is managerless clubs, right? The players, it's like, yeah, autonomous. I love it.
No, but the thing is, though, we have been seeing that with Ole being at the wheel. Because the thing is that Ole being at United was like a driverless car, where the players basically did what they wanted and did it right. And then the only times things went wrong was when Ole went and started tinkering with things. So like when you get a bit touchy, when the car's like reversing into a space and thinking, oh, it's going to hit the curb, it's going to hit the curb. And then you turn the wheel and then it does hit the curb. That was Ole at the wheel. I genuinely think that, I mean, we've got Michael Carrick at the wheel, right? Do we remember that screenshot from Sky Sports when they showed Ryan Mason versus Pep Guardiola, where it was like head to head, like a managerial statistic thing of like the fact that Ryan Mason has played 2 games, won one, lost one, and Pep has played like hundreds and everything like that. It's going to be the same this week of Tuchel versus Carrick. Like, fair enough, they managed to beat Villarreal 2-0, but they're going to get spanked this weekend, aren't they? They're going to play ultra defensive, but the problem is that they're playing ultra defensive against a team that can actually play counter-attacking ultra defensive football. And
also, they have Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, so playing defensive when you have guys. I mean, I actually think positive thing. I think Maguire is suspended, so maybe they do have a chance. You never know. Big Slabhead is suspended, so yeah. Listen, mate. Listen. What I would say is, like, this is a situation where it's like, it's almost like when Ole took over, it was like it couldn't get much worse, right? So Ole had that springboard because things were so bad. I feel like whoever, it doesn't really matter who it is just now, whether it's Michael Carrick or Darren Fletcher or Roy Keane or Eric Jemba, it doesn't matter who they put in there, right? It's going to be better because it's just going to be like, because things clearly got so bad where, like, Ole was saying we have to play Man United football, and the problem with that statement is, Ole, you have no idea how to make that happen, right? So when you try and do something, it's that he clearly doesn't understand how to get the players playing that way or have enough command in the dressing room for them to listen. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll get spanked this weekend. I think they will get beat. I think it'll be a bit like the City game. It won't be, I don't think necessarily a spanking, but it'll be fairly comfortable, I'd imagine, for Chelsea the way they're playing just now. But they may put in a performance. This happens. It's more just like, is it Carrick to the end of the season? Are they going to get an interim? Like, to your point, Pat, it's like, it just seems like, I don't even see the point. It's just like, it's like, just have somebody, like, surely it's not like we haven't seen this coming, right? It's not like, there's been a situation like, like things with Klopp are really good at Liverpool, and then it just whatever, something blows up and it's unexpected and you kind of go, we have to part ways, right? And you're kind of left in limbo land. This is like, everyone has seen this coming. Like, everyone has been talking about it since Ole almost has been appointed, and they're just like, oh yeah, Conte's now gone to Spurs, and you're going, I'm looking around going, like, Rodgers is the only one, like, probably get him. Like, he's the other one that nobody's talking about, and we're like, maybe, but yeah.
Pat, anyway. What would you do? What would you do here if you were the United board? What would you do?
I'd be on a podcast with my red sort of United-esque cup, and I'd see Waleed wearing his red United-esque shirt, and that's about all they got going for him is that the color red, maybe. But I don't know that there's a lot they can do. It looks like they already tried to make a run at Poch and they didn't get him for now. So if they're going to do something there, it would have to be at the end of the year. Doesn't look like there's a lot else available. I'm super glad they don't. I mean, Conte's right where I want him to be. Being a Spurs fan, I see a guy over there on the sideline who actually gives a shit. He
diving into the crowd, Pat. Do you see it? Diving into the crowd. That's what you want for your manager. A guy.
Yeah. He absolutely cares an awful lot, and you can hear the players saying that. You can see it on the pitch even as well. Even in the first half of their last game, I'm talking about Spurs already, but like, you need a manager who's excited about what they're doing and is going to get everybody doing what they want. In Poch's case, I'm sorry, in Conte's case, it's running. It's not standing around. And I don't know what the answer is going to be. I don't know if it's Cavani. I don't know what get Kate Maguire on the bench. I'm not sure what the answer will be for United, but they got to do something for sure. Otherwise, this whole I thought third, and they're going to be quite a lot further down than that. I don't see top four anymore.
I think you're right. Zidane apparently turned it down, right? He didn't want it. I think Zidane was like, I don't want it. What about this? Well, Pat, I thought, what about a power move? Like a Ted Lasso power move, just go and get Bill Belichick. Like he sort of, right? Do your job. Just do your job, boys. Do your job, right? That's Belichick. That's it. That's what they need.
Yeah, Belichick and Brady both. That's perfect. Love it.
Boom. Yeah.
Ross, what would you do then? What would you do?
What would I do if I was running Man United? I would honestly, at this point, I would. I don't think there's like an established like. Oh, what's that?
You've got Ross speechless. How did that happen, Waleed? I've never seen it before.
I know.
You ask him, this thing is so hard to do that even Ross doesn't have a plan for it. I love it.
I think there's two avenues. There's either you go for like an experience. I don't see the experience like this. I don't see many other options right there. There's other guys like the boy at Ajax that maybe if it was me, honestly, I'd possibly go with like somebody like Graham Potter. I would go with somebody like that I think, like the reason I say Potter is the big thing at Man United is like, okay, they can't play the Man United way under Ole, right? They don't have the players now. This is this bullshit excuse, right? The reality is different managers getting those players to do different things, right? That's to your point, Pat, but Conte. You put Antonio Conte in Man United, all of a sudden, Mason Greenwood, Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes are all doing the things off the ball that they should be doing, right? Or they don't play. Simple as that. I think Potter, if you look at the way Brighton play against the big, I just think like he is capable of doing that with players that are of a lower caliber. It's whether he can make that jump. It's that, managing the bigger egos and stuff like that. But I think he's got a flaw. I think he believes in what he does. I think, to me, if I look at those, who's that next cream, that he'd be the one that I would take a punt on. The easier option, the obvious one is Brodge, right? It's probably going to be a 2 or 3 year thing, but he will get them playing better. He'll get them playing the right way, but it comes down to dollar.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do whatever I could to get Pochettino. Like that has to be the priority. I understand that Rodgers would do a good job, but the problem is that the backlash, the second he gets a bad defeat, he goes from being a United manager to an ex-Liverpool manager. Like in the media or with the fans or anything like that, he'd have so much stigma. He'd have a huge uphill battle there. I don't think the guy from Ajax, Erik ten Hag, will do too well over here. I think he's quite focused on that mission and that thing. I do think that Ronaldo needs to go. I think that he has not been a positive influence. Like people keep saying, and I've had enough of the excuse of like, oh, he does those things. Like he helps us win those games, which we should have, which we normally didn't win or anything. But the problem is that the converse is that he has helped them lose some of those games so much more horrendously than anything last year. Like I was talking to a Liverpool fan friend of mine who isn't Ross actually, strangely enough, but they said that Liverpool's best defender is Sadio Mane. Because Sadio Mane is immediately, second you lose the ball, he's harassing the defenders or the midfield. He is all over them. And you don't get that at all from United with Ronaldo in the system, because the problem is that all of their attacking players are up front just ready to get the ball and nick it to Ronaldo. None of them have that same defensive work rate even as last year. And if United want to stop hemorrhaging goals, if they want to start having a bit more structure again, Ronaldo's got to go.
Wow. Controversial.
I saw 2 headlines this morning that said Steve Bruce. What do you think of that?
hey, Pat, like you'd love to see it. Listen, I like Big Bruce, he's a great guy. I tell you what, I will throw a name out of left field here that's come to mind. Somebody who it was actually when Celtic were looking for a new manager before they appointed Postecoglou. Is the guy, he managed Lille to the title and he's with Nice now. I think it's Christophe Galtier. He like that Lille team, like again, the way that they play football, like, and again, he took the title away from PSG. I mean, amazing stuff. Seems to just be overlooked. Maybe there's a problem with his personality. I don't know. Maybe there's an issue there, but he's and again, Nice are doing pretty well this year. And I think again, he plays in this modern way that every club craves. So he's just one that I'd forgotten about. I think I just don't know why he's not got up, because he won the league with Leo. It's amazing. That's an amazing achievement, right? So anyway, there's another one to throw in the mix there.
They can't get Eddie Howe now, though, can they?
Oh, I mean, Eddie Howe, yeah, he wouldn't have been a good appointment for. I mean, for Liverpool fans, we'd have been happy with Howe at United, I think. But yeah, he's a stopgap for Newcastle for sure, right? Whether we'll keep them up or not, we'll see. Interesting stuff. So what about, we should move on, right? I mean, pure United fans, you've probably had this every day. I mean, you've had this for, let's face it, weeks and months now, let's be honest. But we can put a nail in that coffin now. All the best, Ollie. We'll hope to see you again in League Two very soon, managing where you probably should be. Anyway, we have to move on to Spurs, right? So, because we talked a little bit about this, Antonio's in. It's maybe not been the big bang of we've not seen this kind of crazy uplift, but there's certainly been signs of stuff where, I mean, you know what I mean, but it's not been like massively convincing. It's going to take a little bit of time. But yeah, some positive results. Good one last game. Good comeback win against Leeds. But yeah, how are the Spurs fans feeling? Like, you talked a little bit about it, but what's the initial, how are we feeling? Like Kane not scoring still, what's going on here? What's going on at Spurs?
I mean, yeah, break up the Spurs. They scored twice in the same half. Can you believe that? I mean, that's pretty amazing for them, right? Two times in the same half. I mean, after going 6 halves without even having a shot on target, finally they got 4 shots on target, scored 2 goals, or maybe it was even 6 shots on target. It was really pretty fantastic for how they've been doing recently. But the best part is that people are running, people are moving. Reguilon said it was the hardest week that he's had, right? And I think I love that Conte's excited about it. I love that he's going to drive everybody and push them forward. I don't think it's going to be immediate because you still have some pretty big talent gaps on the team in different spots. But even though he didn't get in the book, Kane had a couple of opportunities, and I think you saw right at the start of the second half, he had one that was close. So my feeling is positive, and I'm an optimist. I'm definitely a Ted Lasso guy. I've got the believe sign over my door in the office. You've seen it. So I'm gonna look for the place where we have a chance to kind of get better. And certainly it doesn't feel as grim. It feels a lot better at the moment than it did, 3-4 weeks ago.
Pat, riddle me this. What is Conte going to change? Like team-wise, team sheet-wise, what's he going to change? Because I'm sorry, if Harry Winks is starting a match for any team that isn't in the Championship, there's got to be a gap somewhere. Yeah, no, there is a talent gap, but I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There's just no way that he agreed to take this role without having some sort of assurance that they're going to spend some money. So I think what you're going to see is not waiting until the summer. I think in January, Vlahovic is coming. I think we'll go get him. I know you Walid, you said we're like interested FC, and I think that's definitely true. But my gut says we'll go out and get Vlahovic. He is killing it right now. I mean, he's really, really doing well. And you need some help at the midfield. I read an article about Eric Dyer's passing ability. I'm not sure that I'm gonna go that far and say, somehow Eric Dyer is going to turn into Virgil van Dijk and be able to find a way to connect upfield. But yeah, they will find some new players in the January window. They will find some players in the summer, and they're going to be competitive until then because they're going to run. He's going to ask a lot of that team, which is great.
Can we have a new rule in the podcast? You can't use Eric Dyer's name in the same sentence as Virgil van Dijk's ever again. Right? Ever again. Right? Ever again. Okay, well, listen, I'm glad you're feeling optimistic. I said at the time, good appointment. I think it's gonna take you need a transfer window 100%. There's no doubt about that to see that bigger jump, right? There's going to be like you say, they're going to work hard and they're going to put, so I think you're going to get results out of that, but it may not be the prettiest until they get reinforcements. But let's we do also have to talk about I think we'll talk about other managerial movements. So we've got Eddie Howe in straight into Newcastle, COVID straight away, that's it, boom, and then straight away they start, it's 3-3. It's like an Eddie Howe team, right? Scoring goals, conceding goals. And then we had the Norwich situation where they lost Farke, and then Dean Smith has gone from Aston Villa and Stevie G's is in, and then Dean Smith is back again, and Norwich pull out a win against Southampton, which again, very, very, very good result. Not an easy team to beat, and a relegation 4-pointer potentially. Sorry, 6-pointer potentially. But yeah, so what do we make? I mean, where do we start with this? But let's start with, like, Stevie G coming all the way from Glasgow down to Aston Villa. What's our reaction to that? Dean Smith getting
poison chalice.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
not a good move. Not a good move. What do we think? Good move, bad move for Stevie G?
I don't think that was a good move. I think that he needed. Yeah, fair enough. He won the title with Rangers. That was a good season. But one season doesn't shoot you up immediately to the Premier League to then. I mean, at Villa, of all the clubs, like, they are incredibly volatile when it comes to their managers, and I don't think that someone like Steven Gerrard needs that type of volatility around them, in the sense that he's going to need time. He's one of those, like, managers who doesn't come in and hit the ground running immediately. It's more of a, like, I mean, yeah, fair enough, they won 2-0, but with all due respect, it's, they should have won that. That's fine. Villa are going to throw him out in good time, because Dean Smith should not have gone. Dean Smith was coping with transitioning from one team, which was a Jack Grealish team, to a not Jack Grealish team. That takes a lot of doing. And I mean, they're going to have some patience with Gerrard, but I don't see this ending well for him necessarily. Okay,
Pat, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with Waleed on this. I mean, I haven't spent a ton of time watching. I think they had some moves in the off season, but I just don't like. I think that it's a tough spot there. I don't know why to blame the manager, because I think they've got a talent gap. And do I think it's like going to be a big move to bring Gerrard in there? I'm not sure that it will. So kind of with you on this, Waleed. I think that maybe long term not going to work out.
Really? Well, I think you're both wrong, surprisingly.
The Liverpool fan thinks that Steven Gerrard legend is.
No. I'm not going to Stevie G. This is me, objective football fan view, and I'll tell you why. I can back up why I think you're wrong. So I think, first of all, I was a little bit torn on the Dean Smith thing. I was texting my Villa mate who lives out in Australia. He's a big Villa fan, and I think the feeling with the Villa fans was like they didn't seem that unhappy that he was going, right? And I think, yes, Grealish went, but they spent all that money and bought three. They brought Emmanuel Buendia, who's a good Premier League player, Leon Bailey, who looks really good potential, and Danny Ings. And I think ultimately, like, Villa have ambition. Like, that's, I think you're right. Well, the thing I do agree with is the owners, like, there's a risk in this for Gerrard where, if they go through a spell, they're not potentially the most patient owners, right? So, but he knows that going in. The reason I think it's a good move is, look, he won the league with Rangers last year with almost no competition, because Celtic were just an absolute car crash last year, right? So, but listen, they went undefeated. He did a great job there. Had a great run in Europe. This season, things were wobbling a little bit. I think sometimes you got to realize your stock's high. You take your chance, right? Because everyone knows, we all know where Stevie G wants to go to. We're all aware of his journey, right? We all know where he wants to be. And when I look at the Premier League and I look at, like, you look at these other managers coming into these other clubs, outside of the big six teams, who's got a better squad than Aston Villa currently? Not many teams. In my opinion, they're in that next bracket. They're in with Everton. They're in that bracket where you're going, and I think they've probably got a better squad than Everton. The overall squad strength, they've got a very, very decent squad, and they should be doing better than they were under Dean Smith this season, regardless of Grealish leaving, because it was, as much as Grealish was an important player, like they've replaced him, with good enough players, right? Okay, you don't have maybe that special talent. I think for Gerrard, this is just a great opportunity. And I feel, had he stayed at Rangers this year, maybe they don't win the league this year, right? Where does he end up? Does he end up in the Championship? Does he end up at Norwich, right? I think I totally get why he took the decision, because he's looking at this. If he can get 3 or 4 years there and do well, does that timing align with where he wants to be? Then, so I totally get why he did it. I do accept the risk, but I think, like, Villa as well, I think about the size of Villa as the potential, if they're doing well, fan base wise, is, again, outside of the big clubs in the league, they're up there, right? So I'll back Stevie G. I'm going to back him for this one. So we'll see how he does. Though we'll see. I think he'll do okay.
Yeah, you are starting to see Ollie Watkins do a little bit. He was out for the start of the year, and he scored in the last game, and he scored, I think, three times in the last few games. And maybe that's part of the reason why the past manager didn't look as good, and maybe it'll be a reason why Stevie G is successful. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are they the number 6 talent team or number 7 talent team? I don't think so. I think they're a bit further down, but I'm still learning. So who knows? I still think Chelsea's 5th. So what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, Pat, you can hang your hat on that. Yeah.
I just feel like it's a bit of a risk because let's be honest. His long-term end goal is the SDGs, and if he doesn't necessarily succeed at Villa, that could definitely. I mean, I don't know the Liverpool board and management and the ethos there as much as you, for example, Ross. But if Stevie G doesn't have a great track record at Villa, or he tanks pretty quickly, how open would Liverpool be to taking him as soon as Klopp?
They wouldn't take him. But my counter argument to that is, if he stayed at Rangers and kept winning, let's say he wins the next 3 titles at Rangers, right? They still wouldn't take him because he's not proven himself. It's the right move. It's the right move because at some point, I think he realizes the gap from managing Rangers, and that is no disrespect to Rangers because they're a massive club. So the experience he's getting from that pressure of winning every week is great, right? The difference is the level of the league in Scotland has dropped just because of financial circumstances, right? That's just the reality. 15 years ago, there was a lot more parity, right? The Rangers and Celtic teams could compete with anyone, right? So I think he realizes he has to make that step, which is, to me, instead of we'll just give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this massive job, right? Even Arteta, you're kind of going, there's a bigger learning curve there. I think this is the smarter way to do it because he will learn a lot. You're right, though. The risk is if you mess it up and Villa get relegated, then you're gonna have your route there is longer, right? Doesn't mean you can't get there, but I think at Rangers, I'm like, I think if it hadn't been Villa, see if this was Norwich, I'd be like, you're mental, Stevie, don't go. That's crazy, right? But the fact that Villa, to me, have a squad that has a platform to be, they should finish top half. They could finish top 8 with that team, with that squad. What an opportunity to demonstrate that you've got the chops to do it, right? And I think I totally get why he made the decision. I guess that's where I'm coming from.
I mean, the thing is that unfortunately, there is still a manager at Southampton, but I think that Southampton would have been the best club for Stevie G to start his managerial Premier League career. Like, I think that they have a really good ethos. I think they've got a really good, because I'm sorry, but if you can stick with Ralph Hasenhüttl.
He just picked a club. He's like Match.com. He's like, yeah, listen, I've done the algorithm, and actually, Stevie, you and Southampton are just like, you're meant to be. Like, I love this, Philippe. That's it. The matchmaker here.
He did a lot of work at Rangers, right? He did a lot of work at Rangers with a squad that had not necessarily the most skill in the world, but definitely had potential, and they could be drilled. And Southampton is literally that. And their ownership, their board, is much more forgiving than Villa. I mean, if you can stand by Ralph Hasenhüttl after 2 9-0 defeats within the space of 2 years,
that's true.
Gotta say that they are willing to let you implement a system and try it out and give it a go. They're not very dismissive of managers. And I feel like if I was going to come to a Premier League club which wanted to see my system take place, then they're up there.
Okay. Well, that's it. We've covered off with Stevie G. That's good. So I want to make sure we cover everything today, right? As much as we can. What about, I wanted to cover off a couple of managers. I think they've maybe gone, I think they are getting praised now, but look at Patrick Vieira, the job that Vieira's doing at Crystal Palace. What a turnaround, and not only results, but the way that they play football, is to me impressive. Bruno Lage at Wolves, which I did call earlier in the season, by the way, when everyone was saying Wolves are going to get relegated. I saw them, they just weren't scoring goals. They were creating 20 chances a game. And I was like, at some point they're going to score. They are great result against West Ham last weekend, and they look a real good team. So a couple of good managers. And then obviously Arsenal's resurgence. I know, Pat, this is a sore point for you. Their massive resurgence under Arteta. Oh, wait a minute, wait. Hello. Then they came to Anfield. And what happened, Arsenal fans? What happened? Pat, you know what we did? We sobered them right there. Sam, Patrick, hello. Cheers, Patrick and Sam. There we go. I was getting a lot of noise on the Slack channel saying, "Oh, Arsenal, when are you going to give Arteta credit? And wait till we beat Liverpool and go above them." And I said, "Wait till they play a proper team, and then Boom. That's what happens, Gunners. Anyway, sorry. So apart from the Liverpool result, Arteta bracket. I had to get that in there. But what were those three managers? So Vieira, we got Vieira, Bruno Lage, and obviously Arteta, I think, does deserve massive credit for obviously coming to Anfield is a very difficult place to come. So let's not judge him on that, but they've certainly turned things around. What's our thoughts on the three managers that seem to be lifting these teams up?
My first thought is that, Ross, you are such an incredible homer. You just can't help yourself. Whenever something comes up anywhere near Liverpool, you got to talk about it. You can't blame him because it's a really tough place to play, but you can't judge him by that. I love it. You love to see it, Ross. It's fantastic. Absolutely love it. Look, I'll say that you talked about Chelsea earlier in the year about being Crystal Palace with better players. Look, Crystal Palace is playing really well, and they're starting to look like they're very competitive in pretty much every game. I wouldn't want to play those guys. I mean, they look really tough.
Yeah. A Chelsea player, ironically, at the helm, like Conor Gallagher, like is up there with one of the best players in the league for me this season so far. He's been, I would say, behind obviously Salah's the best, as we know. Bernardo Silva as well. I mean, absolutely, always loved him. Different gravy, but Gallagher's not. I mean, he's in the next. Look at form this year. He's been sensational. Willie, what do you think about those three? Who are you most impressed with out of those three? Arteta's turnaround. Large is kind of taking on that Wolves job after Nuno's exited. Maybe Nuno will go to Man United, or do you think? What do you think? Or Vieira? Who's impressing you most with the job they're doing?
I'm going to have to break some Arsenal hearts and say it's not Arteta, just because, with all due respect, he's had a ton of finances. He's had a season under his belt already, and he's got plenty of experience in the Premier League, either playing in it, assistant managing, or actually now managing as well. So it's not necessarily him. The reason I feel like we were harsh on him is because of the amount of funds he had and also the experience that he had, and we expected more. I think that the fact that this is Bruno's first season in the Premier League is incredibly impressive to take a Wolves squad, which is, with all due respect, a little bit knackered in places, to reinforce it well and also lose your striker right at the start, but sort of reinforcing the right places is deeply impressive. But I feel like Vieira is probably my pick just because of the pace that he has changed things around at Palace. Like they're a genuine threat, rather than it being Wilfred Zaha counter-attack team. They are a team which is breaking teams up, which is great to see. Like they're actually got some creativity with Conor Gallagher. It'd be great to see Elise finally get some time as well and see him develop, because he had a great season, great time at Reading. And the resurgence of Benteke. I mean, who doesn't love to say that?
Like any manager that can get a game out of Benteke, you're like, he looks like he can play football again. Like for 5 years, he just looked like an absolute donkey. You're like, and now all of a sudden he's looking like a world beater. Unreal. What on Arteta? One other point on Arteta, which I have to say, is I did like in his post-match interview where he said that they basically completely lost the plot in the second half. I was like, mate, I think you lost the plot on the touchline. So maybe you want to look at yourself in the mirror, big man, before you start blaming your players, right? And that was the catalyst to us going, you know what? Let's spank these boys and show them what's what. So I did enjoy that from Arteta. Good value. There we go. So fantasy, is it time really to break the news to Pat about we have some news we have to break to Pat. We feel like he might be unaware. But yeah, this could be, so I'll hand over to Elite, because I'm too direct at these things probably.
I don't know what to say, Pat. I'm glad that you're sat down, but our Lord and Savior Ben Chilwell, I think, has torn his ACL and will be out for the rest of the season.
What? Are you kidding me? So finally I have a way where Chelsea can finish fifth. There it is. I needed something that was going to help make me correct. And this is the turning point, because that guy has been on fire, incredible. What am I going to do with my fantasy team now? He's good for like 9 or 10 points every single game. What am I going to do?
Do you know what I love now? I love Pat's basically calling Chelsea a one-man team now, which I love to see. And the other good news, the other good news is that might play into your Chelsea finishing fifth is I think Lukaku's back soon, so they should just tank a bit more when he comes back, right? Because we know how overrated Lukaku is, right? So fantasy football, folks, Ben Chilwell, Waleed said he thinks it apparently is a really serious injury. Get Marcus Alonso into your team immediately because he will probably play every game. Or Reece James. I mean, he's playing really well. So I think if you've got Chillers in there on Pat's advice, which was great advice, being a point machine, you need to get him out now. You need to get him out. Yeah, there we go.
I would love to hear give me 2 players who you've tried really hard to persist with to feel like they're going to come up with the goods, but they just haven't. Give me your 2 players, your deadwood for the season so far, because I look at my team like I'm tanking in fantasy football. I persist with some deadwood because I'm like, do well.
I've got one for you. Yeah. Iheanacho. Iheanacho was somebody who he was at the end of last season, he was their best player. And now they won't even play him. He's out there for about 22 minutes a game, and he still gets a goal here or there, but he's good for 1 point every game, and it's awful. Like at least Watkins is scoring for me now. He's on my team. Tony's a bit up and down. He's been there too, but yeah, I mean, Iheanacho's the guy that just every week. Come on, it's got to happen sometime,
Well, for me, if I had to pick 2 players that I've had to persist with and that are a bit of dead, would it probably be you 2, to be honest, the pair of you. Talking absolute nonsense every podcast. No, I would say I tried to be like, clever and smart. Again, I was a little. This happens to me often in fantasy. I end up like not paying enough attention at the beginning. You get a little bit behind. I use an early wild card and then I catch up. I decided to put Kane in. And I've stuck with him and then when Conte, I was like, here we go, boys, here we go, point machine. And so, yeah, so I think almost like I'm so far in though that I just need to stick with it because like if I take him out and then he gets a hat trick, I'm going to be so upset. So Kane's the one for me. The only other one was like Martinez, the Villa goalie. Like they were so good defensively last year, and under Smith, that's why he got fired. It wasn't because they weren't scoring goals. They were just defensively shocking. He's one that I've persisted with that I'm hoping now with Stevie G, we might start to see the Martinez of last year, who was a bit of a points machine, but that's my 2. Willie, what about you?
It's really frustrating because I really love this player when he played at Leverkusen, but Kai Havertz he's been such a non-player for me this year. Like I really persisted because I was thinking, oh, Lukaku's out, Werner's out. Last year they played him in the false 9, or at least played him up as a striker. But he's done absolutely nothing, and he cost a chunk as well. So that was deeply frustrating. And then for a bit of time, I mean, he's finally coming good. Actually no, I can't mention him. I think Dan James is actually he's getting there, but I think I feel like who else? It was a Spurs player. It was a Spurs player that I thought would do the job.
You can pick anyone bar Son, any Spurs player bar Son, and you're probably right. So
well, that's the thing. I was thinking, oh, Lucas Moura is going to bag me some points. Absolutely not. No, Martin Odegaard, he's even worse. He's even more culpable for this. I thought, he's coming with a huge price tag, and he's incredibly creative. He had a really good loan season. Nothing.
Yeah. Wow. The reason that you love those guys who are listed as defenders, who'll get up the pitch and get involved in the play and kind of, especially if their team is good at shutting other teams down, like a Chilwell, like Chelsea has all kinds of clean sheets and he's up there trying to score the goals, and so it's fantastic. And I think maybe a tip for later on when Conte really has things going well and when things start to turn around for Spurs, Emerson Royal. I think he's a guy who is up the wing a lot. He's engaged in the play, but he's listed as a defender. So you get both sides. If they're actually, you get the points both ways, which you love. So I think he's a guy. And a disappointment. I listed one with Iheanacho. No good, huh? Well, we'll see. I said that. I said this about Chilwell 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he's been a machine. 9 points this week. Yeah.
You have so good form.
Yeah, and I also brought up Mings before. He had 15 this week, so incredible. But a person who's been really disappointing is Bruno Fernandes. Like I think that's a person who you feel like should be the best player on the pitch, and he just hasn't been scoring at all.
Yeah, and he's just a terrible guy as well to boot. Bruno Fernandes. Nobody likes I was when you said a Spurs player to look out for, I was really hoping you'd say Højbjerg or Eric Dyer. Like that would be a good one. But yeah, listen. Royale, let's keep an eye on that because with Chilwell, you were on the money, so you've got some form here. So I do have to take that seriously. So I'm going to keep a keen eye on Emerson Royale. Okay, well, listen, to finish up, I I can't go without mentioning a couple of moments of utter filth in the Champions League last night. Bernardo Silva, and maybe this goes more unnoticed, his cushioned pass to Gabriel Jesus was just like, for those, unbelievable. And then Thiago, oh my God, you will not see, if you've not watched it, you will not see a better strike in your life. Utter filth from Thiago. Watch it from behind the goal. I've never seen anyone hit a football like that in my life. He is just a dream to watch. So
strange, kind of strange that you caught the Liverpool game last night. I'm kind of shocked at that, Ross. Yeah,
I kind of watched, I watched both. I watched both, but it's like, then the Liverpool game was a bit more entertaining, So because it's it was but yeah, if you haven't seen it, watch the goal, and you'll not see a goal like that. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes. Awesome. Right. So fixtures this weekend, just very, very quickly. So the Gunners, who have the Gunners got this weekend, Pat? Your arch rivals, who have they got this weekend? They got a big game, I think, do they not?
Who are they playing? They're playing Newcastle.
Big game for Arsenal. There we go. Newcastle. Spurs have got, who have they got this weekend?
Spurs have got Burnley. Toughy.
Burnley, toughy. We know it's Chelsea United. That's a big game. City have got West Ham, I think. Is that right?
Yes, we got West Ham at 2:00 on Sunday. I think that we should win that, just because I feel like West Ham are going to be tired after tonight's match.
Hopefully, yeah. So what I guess I'm just trying to go through the fixtures. Out of those games, I guess the Chelsea United one's probably the standout game from a, if you're a neutral fan, that's the one you want to see. Do we all agree? Comfortable Chelsea win, Alonso with a couple of assists? What do we think? Or do we think, does anyone fancy United to maybe do something? Or you bit of a shock? Fernandes, Ronaldo?
No.
Sancho? No, to step up
and
do something? No.
No Chilwell. Maybe United's got a shot. We'll see. But no, I don't think so. I think Chelsea got this game. And City, in West Ham, we were talking about how great they were 3 weeks ago and thought they were going to be in the top four. And they're hitting a little rough patch here. So going to be interesting. I think City's going to take that one.
Yeah, injuries.
I think we're going to take that one just because, like we also said, the Europa League is what's going to make or break West Ham season. And also, it's almost Christmas, and that's when the fixture list really, really hurts. So I can definitely see West Ham dropping down quite a lot further down. Like this December is going to hurt them.
I think so. I think they'll be okay. And listen, Pat, I'm going to put it out there now, just to be controversial. Man United to come up with a shock. It's the start of a demise for Chelsea. The start of that drop down to 5th place. It's going to happen. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. Wan-Bissaka is going to come up with like 3 assists out of nowhere. Let's see what happens. But I'll tip United for a little bit of an upset against Chelsea. I'm gonna make that call now. It's more like I sense it rather than like I believe it. So
Ross, I'm not doing this to spite you or anything, but I can definitely see there being a 1-1 draw with Southampton at Anfield this weekend.
Okay, listen, we've got the best player in the world, sure. Maybe he decides just to take a day off. Listen, mate, Southampton, decent side. I think at home, I'll always back us to win. I think away, these games are after Champions League are always tough. We had a easy-ish game last night. We didn't need to win it. Listen, we got guys' minutes and guys' legs, so I'm feeling confident we should have enough to beat them. But yeah, listen, I think they are a team that them and Brighton stylistically against Liverpool, like we find them trickier because they actually they don't just sit in completely. They will press us, and they're a team you have to respect them, right? Because the way that Hasenhüttl plays, hopefully that leaves enough space for us to expose. But yeah, let's see what happens. Nothing's a given in this league, but home at Anfield, just ask Arsenal fans how Southampton fans should feel about that game.
Yeah, one more pick for the weekend. I'll tell you that Palace is going to show Villa that they don't have actually the 7th best team. They're going to be they're going to teach them a little lesson. Probably 2-0. Is
that a fixture? Is it Palace Villa?
I think Palace have got that. I agree with Pat. I'm with Pat on that. I think Palace have got that nailed on.
I think that is a juicy game. That's one I'm excited. If that's on TV, I'll be watching that. That'll be a juicy one. And then
Saturday at 3, you won't be seeing it.
Yeah. Well, listen. Oh yeah. Listen. By the way, Pat, happy Thanksgiving. By the way, my friend. I know it's a big day. NFL
Thank you so
game.
much.
I think it's the Dallas Cowboys are playing the kind of main game tonight. So it's so big. Hopefully you have time to enjoy some traditional food, watch the football, the American football. Happy Thanksgiving and all good.
Thank
Always
you
a
so
pleasure,
much.
boy. You're welcome. Right. Well, listen, folks, thank you for tuning in as always. Feel free to comment, express your opinions. Patrick and Sam, Patrick and Sam, Patrick and Sam. Anyway, yeah, have a good, anyone that is enjoying Thanksgiving, have a good Thanksgiving, and we will catch up soon. Cheers.
See you in a bit.
See ya.